So what is our objective with delegation? Why of delegation? What are we trying to do? Well, we can't be thinking of delegation as this thing where we give other people junk to do that we don't want to do. Delegation is getting our employees to move to a higher level of self-reliance. In an ideal world, for you as a supervisor, the best thing that you can have going for you is to have a whole bunch of employees who perform better when you are not there than when you are there. Or at least have the sensation or the belief on your part that your employees will be at least as good when you're not there as they are when you are there. And there's an awful lot of supervisors that just kind of roll their eyes at that one saying, I don't really see how that's likely to happen. Well, I think it's possible. And I think it's possible in part by creating an environment where our people can become more self-reliant. And as I said earlier in my introduction talking about this, I believe that, excuse me, what we do as a parent really is just move our kids to increasing levels of self-reliance, getting them more and more comfortable with being able to do things. And so instead of sending our kids to school worried about what might happen to them at school, we should concentrate on sending our kids to school with decision-making ability to be able to deal with what happens to them at school. And, there's just things that we can do. We can't shield our kids or our employees from everything that's going to happen. All we can really do is try and prepare our employees for the things that they might encounter and be ready to deal with it. So what do we want to try and do? If we look in the middle of page 45, we want to grow something. We want to grow three things, really. We want to grow our people, right? We want to grow our people. We want to move them to some level of mastery so they can be comfortable with handling more and more things. Now, why do we want to do that? Well, there's two primary reasons for it, but both of them are tied to our responsibility. We are responsible for productivity in our department. And we're responsible for getting productivity with fewer and fewer resources. So, next year when they set the new budget and the new production expectation, the new whatever else, we can be pretty sure that those production expectations are going to go up, am I right? And we can also be pretty sure that there will not be an accompanying increase of the resources to be able to accomplish that. So your boss is going to give you that great instruction that only the really smart bosses give you, is to say, you're going to have to work smarter next year. And then when you ask the boss what they mean by that, they suddenly remember they have a meeting that they have to get to, and they look at their watch and they walk away. Okay, so our challenge long term, if you talk about the intents, our challenge long term is to figure out a way to grow our people, to grow the list of things, to put more tools on their tool belt, to get them to be more capable to be able to do more things. Okay. Next thing we want to do, we got to figure out strategies to be able to increase our capacity to be able to do. Our capacity. Not going to come along and give you more people. They're not going to come along and give you more tools and resources next year. So what we're going to have to figure out a way to do is to get more out of the people that we got. To figure out how we can produce more. How we can reduce the time our employees are spending on things that aren't productive and concentrate more time on those activities that are productive. And this becomes an increasing challenge. In some environments, and I think, Denny, in your company, it may be one of them. It may have been your company, and I don't recall who it was, but somebody said to me 10 years ago, I used to supervise on this line 10 people who would be doing certain kinds of jobs of lifting and pushing or shoving or doing something on an assembly line or on a production line. Now through technology and through the advancement of equipment and machinery and whatever else it might be, that same line is run by 4 people who are pushing buttons. How do we get those 4 people to be more productive? How do we increase the capacity in a function within my department that doesn't seem to be driven by the performance of my people, but is driven more by the performance of the equipment? I'm going, well, I don't know the answer to that one. I don't have a good answer for you. But I do know that there's some variable there of the people equation that we have to address and figure out how we can get these people to be more productive. How can we increase the capacity, the throughput of what my people are doing every single day? And then lastly, how can we increase the value that we do? How can we increase the value? How can we increase the, reduce the waste and loss? Reduce the number of times that the machinery or equipment is down, reduce the number of lost customers, reduce whatever. Increase the value to get people to make more and more value decisions. I mean, there's strategies for doing this. Companies do it all the time. I mean, if you, and one of my favorite companies to use for my example of value or creating value for the organization at least, is my favorite convenience store, which is the Quick Trip. Okay, I talk about the Quick Trip a lot. They annoy the daylights out of me in a lot of respects. But I also know that they got the formula down in a lot of respects. Right? I mean, you walk into that place and you will not get through that checkout line. You will not be able to queue up and pay for your stuff without them as employees doing something to create greater value for the organization. Because no matter what you bring up, whatever they're selling that day, they want to ask you if you want whatever it is they're selling that day. Right? And their latest thing is their card, their whatever they call it, the Quick Trip rewards card, which has no rewards whatsoever by my estimation. And I've told several clerks that. They said, "Do you want to use your reward card?" I said, "For what? That thing is basically worthless." And they just look at me with this blank stare because they've been told that we got to get everybody to have a rewards card. And I said, "I get nothing for that card." "Well, every 15 visits you get a free cup of coffee." I'm like, "Okay, so you want me to whip out this card and use it for every 15 times in a row so I get a lousy 95-cent refill?" Okay, not buying into this program. But what does Quick Trip do well? What Quick Trip does well is they have grown the capacity of their people, right? They've trained their people to do more things, to ask more questions, to cross-sell. They've increased the capacity, the quantity of stuff that they will sell based on asking the customer. They've increased the value by the adding on and doing the other kinds of things they're doing. I mean, and if you don't get asked, "Did you have fuel outside?" then I'm sure that employee is going to get fired, because that has to be one of the main things that they add. Because I've never walked into the Quick Trip without having one of the employees ask me that question, right? Now, this is a strategy. This isn't by accident that they do this. And I'm sure they've got, their secret shoppers that come in and shop the store and grade the people who are behind the counters on how well they do each one of these steps. And each one of them is this right here. It's people growing their capacity and the mastery to get better at it, growing the quantity of things that they sell and the quantity of things that we can throughput. Every time a new, if there's so many people in line, they open up another checkout, right? Because they want to throughput people as quickly as they possibly can. But you also know that those same employees, when they come up to do the checkout, they've been back doing something else, someplace else in the store. They're not just standing around twiddling their thumbs. They're stocking, they're cleaning, they're doing something else. So they've got this thing down of having every one of their employees constantly busy doing something because somebody thought this through and decided what they needed to do. Okay. So if we're going to effectively use delegation, project management delegation, to expand either the mastery, the quantity, or the quality of our work, where would you like to start? Which one of these things has the greatest appeal to you? Do you think you should come up with some strategies to be able to grow the patent mastery of your people, the quantity of work that we're doing, or the quality of work that we're doing? Now, I know as you say, "Yeah, but Bob, we need all three." I get that, and maybe you can work on all three. But if you had to pick one, which one would it be? Circle one and tell the people in your group why you believe that one to be true. Go ahead.
Quality.
You're never going to master.
Quality products.